All right, we are back for the second part of our show tonight. This is the industry chat question. This is our time to basically just talk about whatever we feel like, whatever we want, whatever's hot in the industry.
Yeah. John is the puppet master here.
We've got that. Now, how do I get that? Okay, so it's showing that the chat is disabled, guys, and I'm going to see if I can figure this out. That's not cool. That's not really cool.
You figure that out, and I'll riff.
Yeah, go ahead. Chat for you. We were going to talk about. You mentioned something earlier. We were going to talk about.
I don't know.
Oh, shoot.
I can't remember. I got brain damage.
Yeah, I know. I know, and I was going to jot it down, but I didn't. I didn't jot.
I get ideas, I spitball, and I forget about them right away. And John thinks they're cool, and if they don't get written down, we don't know.
That's exactly. And I typically I would
so
be jotting.
You go ahead and figure it out. I'm going to riff on something completely different.
You go on an angle here, and I'm going to see if I can figure out how to get that chat going.
Okay, so I want to. Well, something happened with me. That was weird.
I just switched you to full screen, so that way they can focus on you.
Oh, okay. So, folks, I just did a show about Madonna with John, and I was pulling out all my 12-inch Madonna records, and I'm looking at them thinking, yeah, I got some cool Madonna stuff. Then I realized how much I didn't have. So I was like, I got an hour and a half before showtime. I ran down the street to one of the local used bookstores and started rummaging, trying to find some kind of Madonna record that I could add to the collection to make it a little more impressive for visuals. Although I didn't use even what I had here. But what's interesting is if you guys are into crate digging, one thing you never want to do is go look for something specific. I don't do that anymore. When I go crate digging, what I find is what I find, and it's always a surprise. And I think those of you who have a real broad music palette are going to have a lot more success on your crate digs. For instance, I went looking for Madonna. I brought home Daddy Yankee. I brought home Company B. I brought home All Saints, The Village People, something else really cool. I brought home like a Euromix DJ only 12-inch that's kind of interesting too. And I paid like $5 for all this stuff. So I guess my point is, don't go looking for something specific. Just go out there and find something. If you have a broad musical palette and you have patience and you enjoy rummaging, you have a lot of fun doing this stuff.
See, that's something I've not done, and I've got about an hour from me. I've heard rumors that we've got one of the largest collections of vinyl in the probably Minnesota. This guy out in Fergus Falls owns a health club, so he's got up in the upper. I think it's the upper floor is all the machines for a major health club. The basement is full of albums.
Dude, I'm coming to Minnesota.
So this is.
I mean, is it reasonable? Have you heard about prices?
Yeah, I've seen his prices when he puts up a couple here and there, and you have $7-8 for some that are actually that I would know that are like ooh, and you check Amazon, like the one of them, I don't remember what it was, if it was it? It wasn't sports, but it was one of my
like Huey Lewis,
something that I would buy, and I think it was like half the price of what it was online on Amazon.
Yeah.
So
I mean, when it comes to pricing, I mean, this is something that as DJs we should know something about, not only in pricing ourselves, but in buying equipment. Things cost as much as people will pay for them. That's how much they cost.
Oh, and I think this is that world because the album Toto, the Toto album that had which one was it that had Africa?
Rosanna and all that.
Yeah, Rosanna. Yep. Was that the self-titled album?
Yeah, I think so.
That particular album, to buy it from one source, there was only one available on Amazon, and that one was $66 for the disc.
Now, I know I've got a few copies of that.
And then there's a Ringo Starr. There was one particular version of Ringo, or an album from Ringo Starr. It was the one that has "She's 16, She's Beautiful." That particular one. Right. And that particular one, there was one and one only, and I believe it was like $800. Somebody bought it because I was watching it and I thought, there'll be another one. So, and then it was gone.
Wow.
So it's worth exactly what someone will pay for it.
Yeah. I mean, most of the stuff, really, I'm paying $1 for most of the stuff that I buy. If I go to like Atomic Records in Los Angeles, maybe I'll go ahead and spend a couple bucks per record. There's a spot in Vegas that I can't wait to get back to, that I pulled all kinds of stuff out for 50 cents a piece, like beautiful, weird stuff. It's cool when there's like a market. I think the market right now is for hipsters. The market is for hip hop and hipsters both.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the stuff that I enjoy is like free. Nobody cares about it right now.
Yeah, it's over in a free bin right over there. Can you take it? If you don't take it, just put it in a garbage can outside.
We don't even want to bother filing this. We're just going to put it over here. And the kind of places I go, this is exactly how they feel about it. I'm not going to Gramophone in Chicago. I'm going to used bookstores, and I'm going to hipster record shops in my neighborhood, because I got 4 record shops on my street.
Holy cats.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. And I mean, I just started going to them. I knew they were there, but I've been into them before, and it was like, this is mostly like local band stuff I don't care about.
Right.
Films, because they're local band, and kind of rocky, folky, hipster stuff that I don't care about. But I'm revisiting them, and I'm realizing that they're still that. But the great part is they don't care about the Shalimar record they have.
Mm-hmm.
That's garbage to them. To me, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's what I want. So it works out well that I go there and I grab those things.
Very cool.
I'm the weird guy going in there grabbing stuff that nobody wants.
They're like, look at that sucker. He just took got that stuff out.
He just bought all that crap nobody wants.
Yeah.
Then I can go online and I can look, and the stuff's like, huge money. I bought one at a clothing store. There's a clothing store down the street. It's like a boutique.
Okay.
Still have records, and they've got some nice records in there. And I bought an Ultimix. No, I bought a DMC in there a couple weeks ago for like $1. And I looked online, and they wanted like $60 for this thing. It's mint too.
Wow.
So yeah, I have fun with it. I just enjoy it. It has nothing to do with the work anymore. I don't lug these turntables around. I don't plan on doing it, but I enjoy collecting it. It's just something that I love. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool stuff. All right, let's jump into our questions here. We want to keep our time to about a half an hour tonight or somewhere in that ballpark, so folks can plan for that. We've got some questions that you guys submitted. They came in. Some of you messaged a couple in. A couple were put. Let's see, I think I've got 2 Facebook messages. One was emailed in. One was called in. I actually had someone call in after.
Is this an Ask BSR thing?
This is what it's kind of becoming. So it's
hilarious.
It's weird, yeah. And I think there's a couple of them I missed that might have been.
All right.
So we're going to go. The first question is, when do you know, and this is the one that was called in, when do you know, or when can you decide if you should do something and make it a DIY project, like building a case or a table, or when you should just go out and buy the item that's already out there? And they were talking facades and tables are the two that the guy was talking about. Sure. So you've done some DIY videos. You know the companies that build the stuff. What's your recommendation? Is there a price point to know when to go left or right, or how would you recommend them to tackle it or not to tackle it?
I think it depends on, do you get satisfaction out of doing this? Because a lot of things, if you're not getting any satisfaction out of doing it, the time that it takes to do it, the materials you have to buy to do it, and maybe the end product you'll end up with your skill level isn't worth it. But if you really enjoy doing that kind of stuff, if you have an idea that's completely outside of the box, no one's making something like this, you want something different, you know what you're doing, and yeah, do it. Please, yeah, do it. Absolutely. But on the other hand, I mean, you got to think about how much time this is going to take you to do it right.
Yeah.
This is something, I mean, usually when you're doing a DIY project, most of this stuff, I mean, if we're talking facades and tables and things, people are going to see it. We're not talking about a clamp or a modification to some kind of bracket or whatever. We're talking about a complete fabrication of something. You want it to look good, you know. If you can't make it look good for a reasonable price, forget it. Just buy it. That's me. I'd rather some things I'd rather just buy.
Yeah.
My father, he has his weed whacker that he my dad's 83 years old. He's a sweet man. I love my dad. He's like, this button on here, it's not working right. And I brought it into the repair shop, and they told me that it would cost less money to throw it away and buy a new weed whacker than it would be for us to repair it. that made me angry, so I'm giving it to you to fix. Well, the guy's right. With labor and the parts markup, yeah, it's going to cost more money to do this, to have a shop do it, than it would be to buy a new one. However, if I were to go online when I have time, I'm going to do this, Dad. I promise. I said I would. I'll do it. I'll go online and figure out what the button is that needs to be replaced. I'll order it and I'll put it in on my own time, which I won't count, and we'll probably get it done for $5.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's even relevant to what we're talking about, but you kind of have to weigh these things out.
Yeah. And I think Jimmy made a good point. There's times, and especially in Jimmy's case, Jimmy's a big guy. He's a taller guy, and I know as a taller person, there's times where you just don't find gear that fits your needs. So you need to, whether it's physically, because I hate having to crouch over tables when I'm DJing. So
I just had a question about tables recently too. Somebody was saying, "Well, what do I do? I'm 6'5".
Yeah.
Can't do this banquet table." The guy who really has done a lot of good stuff with this, and I don't even remember the name of his YouTube channel, but it's Pulse, Christian Bedhe from Pioneer. If you know him.
Yeah.
He's a tall dude.
He is, yeah. He's
like Sparky B tall.
Yeah, he's about 6.
Way over 6'5". I think he's like 6'7".
I was thinking 6'3", 6'4".
No, he's taller than that. How tall are you, John?
I'm only 6'1", and he's
you're eye to eye with him.
Ooh, he's ahead of me, but not by that much.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm wrong then.
Yeah.
Sparky B's tall though. But anyway, Christian's done some really good videos on extension legs that he's built for his tables.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's done custom scrims for them too, so it all looks right.
Nice.
And then he's modding it again. He did it he told me a story, and he's gonna kill me to tell you this. He initially built them out of like a heavy gauge steel, and these extension legs. And they worked really well for him, but he was doing a gig on a boat. And when he was loading out, he accidentally dropped the legs and he sunk to the bottom of the lake. So he's like, you know what? I'm not going to do these heavy legs anymore. I'm going to try some aluminum and see how that works out for me. Because these things I couldn't catch him. It was just like gone.
Yeah, exactly. It's a rocket going underwater.
But sometimes you have to, like, I've had to do it a lot. When I was doing my, my how do I DJ disabled thing, I asked a lot of people, hey, this is what I want to do. How should I do it? They're like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Why don't you just hire an assistant? I'm like, well, you're missing the point here. I want to figure this out. And I did. And I had to do some fab, and I had to have some things built. And it was worth it for me.
Mm-hmm.
But, geez, if I could have gone off the shelf and saved the time and frustration and somebody had done the brain work for me, cool. But, yeah, I don't know. That answered the question or not, but those are my feelings on it.
Well, that's good. We'll continue to our next one. The question was, do you recommend a truck, a van, or a trailer?
Oh, boy.
And so, and then I want to add to that, if depending upon which one, what are the pros and cons? Give us a little bit of that too, as you're talking about it.
Okay.
So, and then describe which brand they would be and what color.
No.
And then if they would have, okay, I'm sorry.
Shut up, John.
Let's just go back to the other.
Okay. If we want to talk about being practical, if we really want to talk about being practical, we want to save money. We want to have a practical vehicle, good fuel mileage, easy to work on, all that stuff. As much as I hate to say it, like the Dodge and Chrysler minivans are the way to go. They're dirt cheap. They're easy to work on if you're handy at all. A lot of room in them. And if you don't live somewhere where you get 2 feet of snow on gig day, you don't have to worry about four-wheel drive.
Mm-hmm.
So, that might be a good deal for a lot of people. A lot of people use minivans. I can't bring myself to do it because I'm just, I guess, what can I say? I'm too cool for school. I can't do that.
Yeah, I can't be a mom.
I'll admit it. I can't do it. I cannot own a minivan. I've never owned one. I can't do it. If I were going to own one, it would be an Astro van because it's rear-wheel drive, and I feel like I could probably put some cool rims on it or something. But I can't do it. So I drive an SUV. But really, the most practical, I'm sure, for most people in the world, is probably a minivan, cost-wise, very inexpensive on the used market. I know a guy who used to buy a couple of them a year just for his DJ business, and then at the end of the year, he'd flip them, he'd sell them, and then beginning of the next year, he'd buy a couple more, and he made money on the things.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know, but you know the truck thing is cool. I mean, I have a truck. I have two. I have four trucks actually. Four trucks,
Oh my.
and three of them are four-wheel drive trucks. But I only drive two of them. My pickup and my Suburban. I like it because it's four-wheel drive, and I also use them as a family vehicle. And I don't look like some dude driving a minivan. I don't know.
You've got this whole
A lot
soccer
of people like them.
anti-soccer mom thing going on.
The truth is, the honest to God truth is, no matter what you drive, for the most part, you should be able to put a DJ system in it. With today's technology and the size and weight of things, I know somebody in Chicago who drives a Toyota Corolla. He calls it his clown car because he can fold the seats down and do this and that, and he can fit an entire rig in there.
Yeah.
Speakers and even a stick of truss. He can do this in a Toyota Corolla.
Wow.
So, I mean, back in the old days, John, I don't know if you ever experienced this or not. I mean, I didn't have a truck at first. So when I built my first DJ system, I built it to fit in my 78 two-door Cutlass.
Oh.
Yeah. And I did, you know, but shortly after that, I bought a truck just because I found one at a good price.
Yeah.
But then even with that, I had to consider, you know, every equipment purchase I make, I have to figure out the size. Will it fit in my vehicle? Is it too long? Is it too short? With the other things that I have. And also, can I physically handle it? Not such an issue today. Most of the time, everything we have today is pretty small.
Yeah.
Some stuff is kind of big. Some of the subwoofers and even some of the coffins for the bigger controllers, like those Z controllers that Pioneer makes with the coffin, you're looking at a 60, 70 pound piece.
Yeah.
But for the most part, things are lightweight. And you can put them in a car if you're smart about it. If you really pay attention to the size of things and you build smart, you can build a system to fit in a Honda Civic or whatever you drive. And I'm sure you could put one on a motorcycle if you really wanted to, with like, you know, bags on the side. If you really wanted to, you could build a system to do that. I do not recommend trailers, though. That I will say. And the reason I do not recommend trailers is I live like 3 miles from downtown Milwaukee. If I have a gig downtown, good luck finding a parking space. Good luck finding a space where I can park my vehicle and a trailer. It's hard.
Very, very tough. Yes.
And then with the weather that we have in this part of the country, snow trailer, I don't need it. I don't need that weight throwing my back around and putting me in a ditch.
Yeah.
That's just me personally. I would rather if it was like, you know, I have a car, but I'd like to, or a minivan or a small truck, and I'd like to put a trailer behind it for my gear. Personally, I would build a system just fit in the vehicle you're driving already. You know, build a system for that vehicle and call it a day. It's easier.
Yeah, very much so. Jimmy just shared a picture through Facebook of the back of a Ford Flex when you can fold everything down. So the Ford Flex is cool. 7-passenger. I've looked at those. They are definitely cool. I just wish
I drive one of those. They're pretty hip. They look like old cool Woody wagons.
Yeah,
they're kind of hip. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's kind of a minivan, but
it's still looking. Wagon. Yeah, it still looks a little cool yet.
Yeah, it's kind of got it. I like those cars.
Okay, let's see. Let's hit a couple more. The best spot for mobile DJs to get music. Where would you recommend mobile DJs getting their music?
Depends on what you want, because there are a lot of services out there. You've got Promo Only, of course. They're out of Florida. They do a lot of really good stuff with club music, and they also do a really nice job with video, like the best job with video. So they're a really good service, and you can just download it off your computer. You don't have to wait for it to come in the mail or whatever.
Yep.
Then there's Top Hits USA out of Michigan,
yep.
Detroit area, and then there's also Prime Cuts out of near Dallas, Texas. And both great services. And the cool thing about those services is, unlike Promo Only, if you do the smooth jazz thing, you get that with the Prime Cuts and the Top Hits USA. Yeah,
I think pretty much now with the those two, you get everything. You get the releases here, and especially if you're doing the download service, it's like there's more music than you ever would want.
But if you're focused more on more clubby stuff, I mean, I know that's not a mobile thing, but if you enjoy that, then promo only you can't beat it.
Yeah.
They do a really really spectacular job with that. For the mainstream stuff, just the regular old mainstream stuff, pick a service you like and go with it. They're all about the same price. Aside from the differences that I pointed out, it's a horse apiece.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, they all do a nice job, that's for sure.
They do.
Okay. I've got a trusting question. We're going to wrap. That'll be our last question. We get to that.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
What's the best way to handle chords, running chords past a door opening at a venue?
That's not a trusting question.
That's the trusting's our last question.
Okay,
sorry.
okay.
So we're going to do the chord one first,
Okay.
and then we'll.
The obvious thing is wireless, right? Which, yeah, whatever. We can't all just go wireless. It's expensive. The one thing that I've done that has worked real well with those door openings and running cords past them. Have you seen those industrial throw rugs?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're walking into a business, I think Cintas, like they do the uniforms.
Yeah, they've got the heavy
They also
mats.
service, or companies like that service these throw rugs. Like there's a service that can come and they take them away. You can get these things at Sam's Clubs. They're like a heavy rubber mat, and they have like a gray, real tight pile carpeting on top of them. It's industrial. If you throw those over cords, no one's going to trip. That's the best way, I think, do it in most cases. Instead of having some kind of small little bump thing. I mean, somebody can trip over that. But the rug I'm talking about, I've used them before at venues. The venues had them, and I thought, wow, that is really smart.
Yeah, I've thought about that, of actually getting, because I've used rugs at venues also. And it's like, gosh, that would be such a good idea to have that with. It's one of those things that you think about, but then when I go to a place that I could actually buy them, do you remember that?
Buy them. You can get them in several different sizes. I mean, you get them on the larger side of things. You want to more than be the width of the doorway. You want to be quite deep as well. That's the coolest thing I've seen to do this with, to kind of just keep the trip hazard out of there.
Yeah.
And you can roll. The catering has never a problem with that. Catering can just go right past that. They're cool with it. You can roll carts over it if anybody's bringing cakes in and out, or desserts, or bar or whatever is bringing. No one's complaining. There's a cord here. That mat seems to buffer that pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. Home Depot sells them. Ian mentioned Home Depot sells them.
Right on. Does Ian use them? Out of curiosity, I'm not looking at
the chat. He did. He said he runs his cord, he tapes them down, and then he will do the carpet runners and tape them as well.
Sure.
So that way he's got a nice.
I've never taped the mats, but you could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep those corners down, because you have to get a little bit of a curl on that. They'll be a tripping hazard once again. Okay, let's do that one. This one was somewhat related, or a wedding related one. How long at a wedding dance do you cater to the older guests at the wedding?
That's an interesting question. How about you, John?
This particular one is one that my answer has changed over the years. When I first started, I would have said about an hour. Mm-hmm. We do our 50s set, our country set, our old time set. We'll do a 70s set. We'll hit 50s, 60s. And I was somewhat programmed that tight that about an hour after, then we'll do dollar dance. And then after that, it's disco new. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Today, I find myself, there are nights where I've got that older crowd right to the very end. It's not unusual to have the 80-year-old grandmas still there at the end. And that's not because they're wanting to clean up. It's just because we've been bouncing around, and I used to play sets of music. I'd play 350 songs, then maybe 360 songs, then segue and 380s, that kind of a thing. And I don't do that quite as much. I'll do maybe a 50s, 60s that'll blend into an 80s song that works well with it, then going into a newer song that works well from that, and just moving around so much quicker that I think that I don't chase the older folks out as quickly as I used to.
Like John said, the same thing with me. My reasoning for doing what I used to do, I figured, okay, well, if we have a start time at 8:00, I want to make sure the old people are satisfied by 9:30. Not that I want them to go home, but I want them to hear the songs that they wanted to hear, which back in the old days, I mean, I'm 100 years old. This is like polkas and
Yep.
maybe Elvis or Sinatra or something. And then they also, the old folks really enjoyed things like the Garter Bouquet Toss, and they wanted to see that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or if there was a bridal party dance, they wanted to see that. And I typically did that like an hour after whatever my start time was. So I figured, okay, 9:30, I'll have everything wrapped up. So if grandma wants to go home, she can go. And I'm not going to feel nearly as bad about playing a song that grandma's going to hate after 9:30. I think that was my reasoning.
Mm-hmm.
But just like you, I found all of a sudden, you know, like somebody, you know, grandma's coming up to me at 11:30 and saying, you know, can we get some Elvis? Like, what the hell are you still doing here?
Aren't you supposed to be in bed?
I had you handled by 9:30. So something changed
Mm-hmm.
in my programming
Yeah.
of the evening that kept them around. And I think one of the things that actually did change is that the old folks now are like boomers. They're baby boomers, or
Yeah.
they're the generation right before that. Like my mom, she was born in 41.
Mm-hmm.
My mom would hang all night. She's cool like that. She
Yeah.
would, like, you know, she wants to hear the techno tune. She wants to hear the big dance song. She wants LMFAO. She wants that.
Yeah.
That's my mom. She's weird like that. So I think it's a generational thing too, you know.
Yeah, very much
Especially
so.
the boomers. The older these baby boomers get, the longer the old people aren't going to go away. You're not going to get rid of them anymore. In fact, you'd be better off playing the new stuff first so the young people can go do whatever they do.
So we're going to have a complete changeover. We're going to be
and finish the night with Twist and Shout or disco or 80s.
whatever. Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. So,
Oh, funny. Yeah, PBS says stop showing Lawrence Welk. They still show it around this neck of the woods on Saturday night because I turned it on Saturday night to show my kids what Lawrence Welk was.
God, you know, I never watched that show. I know my grandparents did, and
Yeah.
all I remember was the hideous colors and the polyester dresses.
And then Lawrence Welk, welcome. And now
And-
Fred and we're going to do a dance. And yeah.
When I first started my mobile DJ company, I needed some polka. And I started with CDs. I didn't want to do records. I wanted to do just CDs with my first mobile company. So I went to whatever, the Camelot music store or whatever, and they had a polka section. There wasn't much in there. And the cheapest disc in there was a track called Myron Florin's 20 Greatest Polkas.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I don't know who the hell Myron Florin is, but I'm going to buy this.
Mm-hmm.
So I did, and it's still my favorite polka stuff because they're really short polkas and they're really fast.
And they're
like,
good.
F you, here's a polka, shut up. And
Yeah.
you're going to be exhausted by the time you're done dancing this because it's so fast. I love my Myron Florin polkas. I still use them today. Turns out the reason I'm telling the story is because he was on Lawrence Welk
He
a
was
lot.
huge on Lawrence Welk, yep.
Yeah, he was, and I didn't know that until afterward. And then we made this joke that I don't know if any of you out there know who Andy is. I call him my brother. Certainly my brother. I'm a friend of his family. His grandpa, he died, I don't know, 20 years ago or something. But I've known Andy since he was tiny. And the picture of Myron Florin on the cover of the 22 Greatest Polkas looks exactly like Grandpa Lee. So the big joke has always been, since I bought this CD from him or his brothers who would assist me, hey, let's put on some Grandpa Lee for a while. Because it looks just like him.
Right.
Yeah. Completely irrelevant sidetrack story there for you. But,
No problem. Okay, our last question, and we're going to wrap things up. That'll put us a little over our 30-minute time frame. This is kind of a big one. This is about trussing. What are some things I need to know before getting into trussing? Thinking about doing a box truss, and I'm thinking that they're probably like that because box trussing would be the 4.
Box truss is actually the 12 by 12 trussing.
Yeah, 12 by 12. But I think they're thinking of doing a box truss over my DJ booth and want to do it right. So
okay,
I was
box truss over the DJ booth. It could be a lot of things. It could be
that's true. It could be crank up stands and a Yeah.
Have the vehicle to haul it. The thing with trussing is, see, when I got truss, the way I did it was more expensive than it needed to be, but there was a reason for it. If you buy a stick of truss that's, I don't know, let's say roughly 4 feet long,
Mm-hmm.
or I don't know, let's just go meters because they usually measure this in meters. Let's say it's a 3 meter piece of truss, a little over a yard. It's going to fit in the back of my vehicle a lot easier than a 6 foot piece of truss is going to fit in my vehicle. But the scary part is the 6 foot stick of truss and the 3 foot stick of truss aren't that much different in price. So the longer sections you go with, the more
Economical.
it is for you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a large vehicle to haul this stuff in, or even if you want to rent a U-Haul, I mean, that's probably the cheapest way to do it, $20 a night or whatever,
Yeah.
unlimited mileage. Yeah, my advice is cost-wise, go with the longest sticks you can go with and still haul them. When, let's see, if it's box trussing, yeah, you're going to need an assistant. You're not going to be able to put this up yourself safely.
Mm-hmm.
Most people I don't think can put it up safely. So I would definitely have an assistant for setup for that too. Make sure your pins are in good. Make sure that your truss pins have cotter pins in them so they don't accidentally come out. And have fun.
What about hanging of lights now? Is there anything a person should do differently with hanging a light above, on top of that bar that's going across his DJ booth?
Yeah. Now it's the same as hanging either light. I mean, every time you hang a light, there are two things you should do. You should clamp it and put a safety cable on it, no matter what you're doing. That is what you should always do. Whether or not you always do it, that's another thing. And I'm not here to judge, and I'm not here to preach either, because I don't know how to do it, but you're supposed to do it. So if you have a light, you might notice on the bottom of the fixture, there's what they call a safety eye.
Yeah.
That is for a safety cable. It's a heavy metal cable that goes into it, has a loop on one end, has almost like I don't have my keys down here, but like one of those climbing
carabiner.
Yeah, on the other end,
mm-hmm.
just in case the clamp fails. Why would it fail? We don't know. But if it does, you've got this safety cable so it doesn't bop anybody on the head. That's just the rule for any kind of
overhead, hanging lights.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, that is our questions for tonight. If you guys have got any questions, you can Facebook message those to us over on our YouTube, in the chat below. You can put the questions there. You can go to the Disc Jockey News, or even Brian's got a Facebook page. Go to the Disc Jockey News. He doesn't want to know the questions until Tuesday. So
yeah, I like the surprises.
Yeah. So, and then we'll see what kind of weird eclectic questions we get for next week.
I don't know if my answers were any good this week.
Yeah, there was some good. That was what we needed to know. And the part I wanted to make sure we hit on the lighting and the trussing was the lighting and making sure that they're safely up there, because that's an important thing.
There are several. I mean, I will go back to that and just say, when you are buying truss, and then you know what lighting you want to put on your truss, do some homework. There are several different clamps out there. Going to make your job easy for you.
Yeah.
So there's not just one clamp. I mean, there are 30 clamps.
Oh yeah. More. That display that they've got a global truss at the big shows. There's so many different clamps. It's crazy.
And it's not like one clamp's going to work for you and the other one won't. It's which one's going to work best for your application.
For sure.
So I like a clamp called a trigger clamp. I really enjoy the trigger clamp. There are a lot of people who really enjoy the snap clamps. They're nice too.
Mm-hmm.
Me being in my position, I'm disabled. I really don't have that pressure to always do the snap clamp. The trigger clamp for hanging lights down is just really nice for me. I can take my time, stick it up there, and I don't have to click to try to get the snap. That's just me personally. But yeah, look on the Global Truss America website or the DuraTruss website and look at all the options. And there's even some diagrams. If you have any questions, hit me up.
Yeah. Brian's available to answer those questions again via Facebook.
I don't have all the answers, but if I don't have the answer, I'll know somebody who will, so I can dial into the right person.
Good stuff. Yeah. Good stuff. We'll be back again next week at 8 o'clock. Next week will be our last Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Then after Memorial Day on the 31st, we're actually going to be going to our new time. We're going to be starting at 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern, because we're getting into summer season and we want to make sure that we're coming just a little bit later for those of you who want to be outside and finish your grilling and such, and then leisurely head on in. So,
right on.
Thank you guys for watching. Brian, thank you very much, and we'll see you again next Tuesday night. Good night, everyone.